Oh shit, here we are. Hey, we're live, boys. Welcome to the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin. It's the best hour of your day, assuming your day is very, very mediocre. All right, that's enough of that. So welcome to the show, Brad from Nicaragua. Wow.
Welcome, Brad.
Hey, happy to be here, guys. I can't believe that people are just out there throwing their time away at having a good time in the morning.
I know.
That's awesome. I'm so stoked to just join you and just have fun for an hour with you guys. I'm stoked for this.
Well, you're going to love
Glad
this.
You're here.
We started a new bit where we celebrate whatever national bullshit day it is. So you're never going to believe what today is. Further proof that there's no God. It's National Relaxation Day.
Oh, cool.
No.
I never heard of this. That's a new one to me, but we got to relax today.
But it's on a Tuesday. So this, like I said, there's no God. Like intelligent design. Who would put National Relaxation Day on a Tuesday? I think Tuesday is the worst day.
Combine that with like Memorial Weekend or something.
Exactly. Because here's the thing. Sometimes Monday gets wrapped up into a long weekend, right? But Tuesday never gets wrapped up into a long weekend. Wednesday at least is the halfway point. I think Tuesday is the absolute worst day to have this.
Here's the thing. I think it should not be a day. I think it should be a week.
I think it should be life. Brad seems to be living a pretty relaxing lifestyle out there with his goats and his mangoes.
That's true. Goats and mangoes go together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so generally speaking, I don't know if you've seen the show. I mean, we're huge, particularly in the Philippines. But for the first half hour, we cover the news because America demands our opinions on such things. Then we get into the Brad half hour.
Yes.
So, because I'm very interested in your life and what you do, let's get this started. Robin, what is in the news, my friend?
Yes. The first story is actually very great to get perspectives of foreigners and Americans about the American economy. Yes. So rich people in America are feeling poorer. Apparently doctors and lawyers, which I thought were some of the most stable professionals in America, are now feeling poor. So they're earning around $175K a year, and they still describe themselves as not well off and merely comfortable. I don't know if that's considered a huge amount of money. Yeah.
Brad has a question.
Do you really think that anyone living in America making $175,000 can even claim to understand what it means to feel poor, quote unquote?
No.
It's entirely unlikely.
Just in case you say, hey, I feel this way. Or you're like, really though? If you're making almost $200K a year, I think it's your choices that make you feel poor, not life.
Exactly.
It is your fucking choices, obviously. And it's one of these ways you can also be a victim. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm rich, but I don't feel rich. If you make 175, you make more than 81% of Americans. The United States, by the way, if it's not the richest country in the world, it's up there. So if you're in the top 20% of the richest country in the history of global civilization, you're not fucking poor. It's just another way for white America to cry about shit. You know?
Right. If you had that money in the Philippines, you'd be living across the dictator's house.
Yes, you would be the dictator.
Or what happens when that person telling you that he feels like that is sitting there talking to you from an iPhone 14 Pro or whatever, right? And he has a Tesla, parked outside, and he's like, but I still feel poor. It's kind of like really a mindset thing that's kind of confusing pretty much for everyone that would hear that.
Well, what's fucked up too is they spotlight certain people and tell their stories. There's one guy that makes $450K a year. But he goes, between my mortgage, my Hawaiian condo, my 3 car payments, and my kid going to college, it doesn't go that far. Well,
they're cash broke.
Those are your choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds to me like he's not very good with managing money. 3 car payments.
3 car payments, college, a Hawaiian condo, and a mortgage. By the way, the mortgage is reasonable. It's less than I pay. He's making $450. I don't want to.
My dad used to always say, if you go buy a car, he used to say, I only suggest you buy a new car if you can buy it twice.
Right.
Which,
in the United States, they said most people can't come up with $500 for an emergency. So I don't think anyone can buy 2 cars twice. Plus, the average median income in Massachusetts, where I live, which is one of the richest states, is $86,000. 86,000. We have people making 175.
Those people must be living on the street.
Well,
that's
look at how all this started, right? Because this is why we believe in this system. Because back in the day, you worked for one company for 30 years, you got your pension, and now you theoretically can go live out your life and go see the pyramids and stuff, right? That was the whole vision.
Yeah.
And back in the day, like people would remember that if you just had one person in the house working, one job, one person providing, you bought a house, you had a car, your kid played soccer or whatever, and that was sort of familiar. And now you have two working parents, everyone's cracking hard, side hustle, whatever. And you're like you're saying, like people are starting to feel like that's not delivering, right?
Well,
Even though you're still living like
we bought into the American dream that we were going to live and work and like have a good job, go to college, have a house, white picket fence, wife stays at home, kids go to college, upward mobility. That shit ain't happening. I talked about it last week. My grandfather had 11 kids. So we had to feed 11 kids and his wife and himself on one paycheck. That was 2 generations ago. You could never have 11 kids. I couldn't have 11 cats. I couldn't afford them. So something happened in this country, but I'm not really sure what it was.
I feel like the modern day American dream is just a little bit too greedy.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, yes, no, we get it way too good.
True.
Right.
That's true though, but it's also like, it's really hard. Like I told people like, hey, if I ever decided like, hey, I've been asked to come back to the States and be there for a short term, like a year or 2 to help build someone's business. And I thought about it and I was like, if you go back and you get the house by the beach, you drive a brand new Tesla and you've got your iWatch and all your stuff, you're not going to bring any back with you, right?
No,
you're not going to leave the country and say, hey, I stacked a bunch of cash. But if you were to go there and drive a 1975 Volkswagen stick shift car, stay with your friends or whatever, and be super diligent about what you spend, you would have zero fun. Like how unfun would that be to be like on a strict diet of your finances in America, where you can have everything at a moment, right?
It would be anti-American,
Yeah, it would just be like people would look at you and like, what are you doing, Brad? Like you don't blow all your money. What's going on with you?
Yes, part of
capitalism.
Get out. Part of capitalism is having fun blowing your money. Like you spend to your earnings. If the guy making $450, stayed in the same house he grew up in or his starter home, he wouldn't be having these problems. But that's not fun. The more money you make, the more you want to spend, because the more you spend, the more fun you have. And honestly, like
part of it too is like this. Like I know the culture in America is like, oh, when I'm 18, I'm moving out, and your parents are like, when you're 18, you're on your own, get a job or whatever, right? This old school mentality. And that forces everyone to start off and go begin your life, get some credit, borrow some money, get a school loan, whatever it's going to be. And you go, and you basically begin this debt journey in order to become what you're going to be. And in other cultures, you stay home. There's 3 generations at home and you guys work together. There's 2 or 3 cars for 8 people. And, everyone shares and collectively uses things. And it's just way more efficient, and the only thing that's different is our attitude towards it. You look at that and say, oh, well, I have my own house and I have 3 rooms I don't go into and an extra car I never drive. So therefore I must be doing it better or something. I don't know. It's just a mentality.
I think it's an Americanism. We're very independent as Americans. Like we like to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and fucking, make it on our own, but it's to our detriment. Like we're, you come out of the gate at 22. If you went to college, you're going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt at 22. It's probably not smart. Yeah, credit budgeting course in high school. I think we're just I don't know that it's gonna make sense for Americans because we like to we're dumb. We're just big dumb.
I think overall, right, there's 2 types of people overall in the general makeup, right? I think there are people that want to make it and people that think that everyone should help. Like what I mean is that I think there's takers and givers. And I think, political parties and all that stuff aside, right? I think there's people that are like I was taught like how to manage money and this and that, right? But I think one of the fundamental problems I think people have is they're always teaching people how to budget and how to manage money. The problem is most times is that people don't have any money. They don't teach them how to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I remember everybody teaching me, this is what you got to do when you get money. And I'm thinking, well, how is it we get the money? Right? Which ultimately I've learned, but that's one thing I think people don't teach. And that's one thing I learned from my mom is she's like, this is how you do it. This is how you make the money. Right, you got to provide a service.
But imagine working that hard, making money, and then not having fun with it. So I'm just supposed to bust my ass and be, financially responsible for the rest of my life. That sounds awful. That sounds fucking.
Well, that's how you build. You have to delay gratification, right, for some period of time. Let's say you delay it, and then you're building up, right? So
what's the journey? It's the journey, Eric.
I like it.
It's the journey to the refrigerator, not what's inside.
See, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all.
It's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, but what happens when everyone's upgraded and now your toaster's on the internet, your refrigerator tells you when the ice cube is full and when you need to buy butter? Like, really, do we need that? Do I need a robot to tell me when I'm out of juice? And
no, but it's
order it online for me. But this is where things are going, right? It's almost like
that's
technology for the sake of technology, but You know, I don't know how much my life's going to improve when my toaster can beat my watch to tell me that my toast is ready, you know?
It doesn't.
We don't need it, Brad, but
maybe
Jeff
I'm old
Bezos
school.
needs
Maybe
us
I'm
to
old
have
school.
it.
You know, I just listen for the toaster. Sometimes I walk up, it's black, and so I can't eat it, you know, or whatever. You got to deal with that part, right?
It's the hedonic treadmill. We think we're walking towards things that make us happier, but we're just walking in place. Right. It feels like we're progressing, but we're just getting used to the water that we're in. So, I mean, listen,
either that or we don't have another example, another North Star to work towards, right? We just worship everything we see on screens, and it looks like that's where you got to go, right? You got to be in a sick car and have a sick outfit and be at a sick place. You know what I mean?
I don't know if they have YouTube down in Nicaragua, but have you seen these YouTube families?
What do you mean? That's so the craziest.
Do you have the internet?
I'm talking to you on whatever station.
That's like my mom, right? But that's like my mom. My mom said to me, right? She says to me a couple weeks ago, she goes, "Now, do you have HBO up there?" Yes, yes, Mom. In New York, from Michigan, I have HBO. Crazy. Who knew it?
Yeah, I think the whole point is like now we're supposed to have internet at every crook and cranny of the earth, right? Like Starlink or whatever's out there, and it doesn't matter where you are, you should be able to get YouTube.
But you see these kids, like, so she has an 8-year-old, I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, but these YouTube families, these kids that are rich on YouTube, their houses are unbelievable. So we're feeding, like, I used to watch He-Man. I had no aspirations of fighting aliens in space, but these kids now are exposed to affluence constantly. So it's going to be an issue.
Was He-Man fighting aliens?
Yeah, he lived on Eternity.
No,
he was in New York.
No, that was
had
grade
like
school.
A sword or something.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
they weren't.
He was sort of low tech.
Yeah, I know, but he lived in Eternity. It's a different. I don't know, what do you call?
I rode a cat.
I mean, they were local.
It was the castle of Grayskull.
Yes,
yeah,
listen,
I don't know. He didn't have a spaceship.
I knew a lot about He-Man. I'm just telling you. I had the castle. I went all in on him when I was little.
You don't
I
think
was really big.
He fought an alien? I'm gonna go back and
now,
watch.
I don't know. He might have, but I remember that he was always fighting the guy. He was always fighting Skeletor. Remember?
Yeah, Skeletor, Merman, Beastman, all those guys. You think they're all named to Eternia?
35-year-old cartoon.
Oh, easy now. The best.
You're wrong. They lived in the East Village.
Merman's from the East Village. All right. Well, I think we drove. Well, let me ask you this, Brad. Nicaragua, what do you think the average income is over there? Are people a slave to capitalism?
You know, it's different. There's still a culture here that, you know, the lifestyle is that you are sustainable, right? So many people, literally, like my neighbors and their families, and one generation from the young people who are, you know, riding motorcycles and, you know, going out to the beach or whatever, their parents know how to live sustainably here. It's just part of the normal life, right? So if there's opportunity for work, yeah, you go out there and build houses and get trained, you go to school or do some stuff. And if ever there isn't that opportunity, you go back and be sustainable, right? And it's not like, you know, it's not even like I guess it's like a downside, right? It's just a difference, you know. So, you know, if you have money and you know what that means, or if you don't, you know, typically it's much healthier to have less money. It's just because of our choices, right? What we do with it. But people that live a sustainable lifestyle and that live off the food that they create and grow, their community grows and stuff like that, there's a lot of health benefits to living like that. It's just that there's a lot of aversion to it because people have this, you know, mentality that it's not, you know, elevated or whatever.
Yeah, it's much harder too, right? A sustainable life. Like I just like buying shit and throwing shit away. It makes me happy. I'm lazy. I'm a modern.
Yeah, but look at all of look at all the nonsense that we like, all the stress that we put up with to have all this stuff. And I got this I have this sort of like hybrid view, right? I got 1 foot in, you know, the grid and 1 foot on top of a mountain in Nicaragua, and I kind of like, you know, can see both sides of it. And you know, I'm trying I'm from LA, right? We cut you off in traffic and, you know, knock you out for a Starbucks, you know, coffee or whatever, get in line in front of you. It's crazy competitive. And here it's more cooperative, right? You have to be friends with your neighbors, help each other out, and you know what they're doing and stuff. So the culture and stuff, the lifestyle here, I think it's a good mix, right? There is work, there's things growing and stuff like that. And there's also the availability to live the way you want.
So people down there aren't getting the new Mercedes every year, you're saying?
I mean, not everybody, no, not at all. But there are. I just talked to a guy yesterday where they've got a fintech incubator in the capital. I was like, okay, cool. There's one of everything in this country.
I like
right?
that.
Yeah. So there's things popping. It's just a lot smaller than most countries.
Yeah. And so you built somewhat recently. How much did it cost? I mean, it looks like you're living in paradise. What does that run you? If say an American from Massachusetts was going to swing by.
The actual cost to build it. Yeah. I mean, maybe it looks different because it's in a forest and stuff, but literally it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom concrete house, right? Cinder blocks are less than $1 each. So, for $50,000, you can have all the brickwork done for your whole house. The wood was grown in the country and built here and cut here at a wood shop on the property. So the costs are like really minimal to build if you have, the resources and the people and a couple machines. But yeah, that's pretty much, there's not a lot to it. But we also live in proper forest, right? So if you come to my house and you're from the city in New York, you would first see like, man, what is up with that bug? There's a bug the size of my palm on the wall up there. And like, don't worry about that. That one's fine, and there's a scorpion on your bath towel that you gotta flick off before you use your bath towel. I mean, we live in a forest, right?
Yeah.
And so the nature part is pretty extreme, to be honest with you. It's pretty extreme. We don't poison the ground. We don't spray anything or knock it back. We just, basically cut the weeds, and we live in a proper forest. So we have to, integrate with nature.
What do you do with a scorpion? Do you hit it with the newspaper? How do you handle scorpions?
You know what? Everyone freaks out when they see a giant bug, but when I used to like squish them or throw them away or all this stuff, and now I just ignore them. Like if I saw a tarantula like this big, like I looked up from my bed, my pillow, I can see it on the wall above me, and I'm thinking like, oh man, that's pretty hardcore. And I was like, you know what? Flick the light off, go to bed. Because it's not there in the morning. It just happened to be there. So
have you tried deep frying them in a nice tempura batter?
Never. No, we just leave them, let them be, right?
See, Brett, that's my worry is that when I wake up in the morning, he's not there.
Exactly.
Where is he at, or she? Where are they at?
I guess it'd be different if everybody was getting bitten by tarantulas and had some massive, wound on them or something. You're like, oh shoot! Right. But no, I don't even know anyone that's been bitten by a spider here.
True.
Maybe just stung by a scorpion, stung by a bee.
Actually.
Yeah, probably is.
All right.
Well, they just get a bad rap for looking like a spider,
Well, they're fucking horrifying. All right, let's skip the Nordstrom one because I don't know how the video. You want to go to the Dunkin' Donuts story? I have great news. Listen, a lot's changed since you've lived in the United States. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
East Coast.
Mm-hmm. I have great news. Now you can get drunk in the morning with Dunkin's.
Is this real? Or did you make this? Is this real?
No. This is a real product. So you know how sometimes you wake up and you're sober? You don't have to do that anymore because Dunkin' Donuts has come up with spiked.
This is alcohol?
Coffee. Yes.
6% is
hold on a second. Has anyone ever had this? I mean, has anyone ever had?
Wow.
I've never had alcohol in my coffee unless it was like a Kahlua in the evening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
with my mother.
Personality. If you want to wake up and fire off a caffeine hit and get your buzz on,
yeah, which is never. Listen, I love drinking, but I don't like drinking in the morning. I think that's the last vestige of my non-alcoholism. This is an awful fucking idea, isn't it?
I think the cans are a touch much. I think it should come in a different packaging because I feel like with that, it's like. I don't know. I don't like the cans. It's like you're drinking a beer, right? Or something.
There has to be a demand. Somebody had product market fit going on somewhere, right?
I'm glad you said that because they said that other companies have tried to make canned coffee spiked beverages and they've all failed. Dunkin' Donuts, they're going to do it on the back of their name.
With the adrenaline or energy drinks, right?
Yeah.
With alcohol now. So yeah, that's kind of along the same lines. Now it's just caffeine.
I like a vodka and Red Bull, but I don't want first of all, I don't know if you guys have had canned mixed drinks, but they always taste like shit.
They're terrible. They're terrible. Yeah. They're terrible.
And by the way, I don't like Irish coffees or anything like that to begin with. But so the tagline is now you can start and end your day with Dunkin's. So they want to get you up in the morning, get you all fucked up at night.
But who's going to be drinking iced coffee, spiked
who wants to go
or whatever this is in the evening?
Night.
Yeah. I don't know, but if I know anything about selling booze, they should probably get some trans chick to sell this because that worked out really well for Bud Light.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's a good find there. I think this is innovation without a cause. Yeah,
that's good innovation without a cause.
You wonder why, after drinking this for, however long, you're going to be on you're going to have to go to the doctor and get a pill to counter whatever that did to you.
Yeah, I know. And the other thing they said too, so they said they're not, so the Dunkin' Donuts says that they recognize that these aren't crushable. So I guess crushable, like you want somebody to buy a 6-pack and drink all 6, I guess, right? Because they disappear and you need more. They're saying about these, you can really only have one. Because they're thick, they're viscous, they're 6%. So it just seems like a terrible fucking idea across the board.
So they have, hold on a second. So they have now they have remixed. Now they have made another Guinness.
Another Guinness, a shittier,
but a
Guinness.
cold one.
Yeah, and Andy, I know what you're saying. Like drinking in the morning isn't weird, but opening up a can of coffee with booze in it just seems like a bridge too far for some reason. I can't explain why that seems gross, but it just fucking seems.
That's like some like 1990s like police detective thing where he drops a shot of whiskey in his coffee, and you know what I mean.
This could be perfect for cops. You're onto something here. This is.
Is vodka spiked coffee not a thing in America?
I don't know.
It's like a post, like at dinner, a lot of people will have like a coffee with something, like as an aperitif or post, like a dinner.
A digestif.
A digestif, yes, not an aperitif. But no, I don't. I mean, maybe I'm naive. Maybe everyone's pouring Jameson in their coffee every morning.
That's true.
I would have thought if I had to make a recommendation, the smarter play here would have been a creamer made by Dunkin' Donuts with alcohol in it. Just brainstorming here, guys.
You might be onto something there.
Perhaps something with Bailey's. And here's the other thing I'll say about coffee, just really quick, is do you remember when the Keurig came out, right? And it was a big hit and everything. Yeah. It was in the office, and then they made one for home.
Yep.
I remember I was in a Starbucks one day and physically in the store, and one of the ladies was like, "Do you want to buy our machine?" And I was like, "Well, I have a Keurig. Why would I buy your machine?" "Well, it's a Starbucks machine." "I don't care."
Yeah.
Now hold on. 2 weeks later, Keurig comes out and says, "Hey, listen, newsflash. We now have Starbucks K-Cups."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "And have we heard about their coffee maker anymore? We haven't heard about it, have we?"
Yeah. Keurig is so bad.
I think you're right, Brad.
Yeah.
Dude, Keurig is like the downfall of the entire planet.
It's terrible.
Oh, it was awful.
It's terrible.
It's like 1 ounce of plastic for every cup of coffee we drink now.
Well, let me tell you what I do. Actually, hold on. I don't buy the K-Cups. I buy the coffee, and then I have a permanent K-Cup. It's a plastic K-Cup, and you just put whatever you want in it. Yeah, we use that. We have 2 of them actually. It's still plastic, but you over and over and over.
I don't think it steeps for long enough in a Keurig. I don't think the flavor is fucking terrible. There's a million better ways to make coffee, aren't there?
But it's fast.
It is fast. In America,
I have like a real machine, right? But it's like it looks like that.
You look at that. You look at that. My mom's got a Keurig, right? And no offense, Mom, if you ever do see this media, but my mom's retired, right? And a Keurig is like, okay, and now the new Keurig is like even less than a minute to make a cup of coffee. But you tell me, who doesn't have 3 minutes the morning? Yeah, especially retired person, right? I would be there. I make mine in a little tiny espresso, individual, whatever you call them, on stovetop percolator. That's right. And different every time. Sometimes I really pack the coffee in. It's, a little strong, good hit. Sometimes it's a little bit weaker, whatever, but it's just different every time. That Keurig, it's like a machine, is, perfect amount every single time. So it doesn't vary. Yeah.
Now you can pick the strength, and you can pick whether it's over ice. There's a lot of configurations.
I do like the speed aspect because Americans are obsessed with that. There was a comedian once that was talked about Pop-Tarts. It's like there's toaster instructions on the Pop-Tart, but then there's also microwave instructions. Like if you don't have the extra minute for the toaster, you go, you can put it in 30 seconds. Yeah, it's like.
He's like, I want to meet the guy that doesn't have 30 seconds to make breakfast.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, can you just show me this person? Like, what is your day like?
I actually had a meeting a while back, right, in my business with a company that was making some kind of special toaster.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy asked what we didn't like about toasters or what we thought we could do. I said, if you can make the toaster as fast as the microwave, I'll buy 3 of them. Never heard back from him.
You don't have that kind of time. You don't have the extra minute. You were a busy fellow.
I'm just thinking to myself though, right? Like toasters have been left behind.
Yeah. Especially toaster ovens in particular, I think, are just they're a dinosaur.
Like no one has touched them in years. Like they ought to have one now that's like 15 seconds convection, like Showtime.
Yeah. Well, so to Jenny's comment, yes, I mean, alcohol is a depressant and obviously caffeine.
Yes.
But vodka and Red Bull is tremendous. Jaeger bombs, Jägermeister Red Bull, delightful. So I know it seems counterintuitive, but you got to mix those shits together.
It gets you fucked up in a different way.
It gets you fucked up in a different way. Four Loko, like Four Loko had the original Four Loko was crazy because you go from drunk to hungover in the same sitting because you can't.
But you're not seriously gonna sit down and skull like 4 of those hands of Dunkin' whatever, right? Be like, I'm getting buzzed,
exactly.
guys.
What kind of lunatic shows up with coffee to a party? Like a 6-pack of coffee?
Yeah, I still don't get it. I just can't see it. I think that was just false innovation. Somebody just woke up one day and was decided we're gonna differentiate. Yeah.
Do you remember when Bud Light made those Bud Light Ritas or whatever when Bud Light was making those?
Yeah, I like those.
So I was at a party one time, right? And I had one, and I don't eat a lot of sugar, and I had one, and I took like 3 sips of it, and I said, I have to go to the hospital. I have diabetes. Like that thing had so much sugar in it, right? I don't even think they make them anymore, do they?
No.
I know Bud Light's had some challenges, I've heard.
Air fryer is another thing. We couldn't wait for the shit to be deep fried, so we invented something else. I mean, fucking Americans.
That's even healthier, right? Isn't that healthy?
I don't know. I refuse. Here's what I know about air fryers. There's no Michelin-starred restaurant in the world that has a fucking air fryer. So until that happens, I'm not doing
That's fair.
You don't think 11 Madison has an air fryer?
French Laundry is all air fryer. It's amazing.
Whole place runs on air fryers. The whole place, you know what? They have a restaurant here called Air Fryer. Just step inside the air fryer.
It's very innovative. All right. Oh, listen, we got to get to the Brad part. So let's fly through these. What do we got next? Oh, TikTok.
Have any of you guys seen a flash mob in person?
The dancing thing?
Yeah, I'm sure Rodney has.
But you guys have this in New York, right?
Yeah. Is it where people are dancing, or is it where they're robbing places? Which is it?
Both.
Okay, because there's 2 kinds here.
Okay, well, okay. I ruined what Robin. I'm sorry. Robin was trying to paint a picture because he planned 2 stories. We didn't do so in Nordstrom. There was a flash mob and they stole $300,000. Okay. Now there's another story. This was just dancing, but go ahead, Robin.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So there was another flash mob, the dancing kind, where this TikTok star known as Baby Storm, she did a dance and she decided to do this in a very crowded Target. And then employees, of course, intervened because it was like a safety hazard. And apparently she went on the internet because they were being racist. Now, I have a big problem with this because obviously racism does exist. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's disgusting when people like this pull off the race card over issues that have nothing to do with race. So it just gives a bad rep to minorities.
Well, you can say that as a minority. I can't go that far, but I will say I suspect it had nothing to do with race because Target probably doesn't like you dancing and filming in their stores, right? I mean, that's pretty, I don't know all Target's rules, but I assume that's against the policy.
Yeah. Can I say this? I saw a video today on Instagram that solves this problem.
What is it?
This guy walks into a library and this lady walks up and says, "You can't be filming in here." And apparently it was a female filming. I didn't see her. And he says, "Oh no, she identifies as a video camera." They went right through it. No troubles. God bless. And the lady's like, "I'm sorry to bother you."
There's always a loophole. I think TikTok, fucking spying. I don't give a shit about the Chinese spying, but these pranks things is the worst thing that's ever happened to the internet. It used to be full of sports scores and porn, and it was great, but now I have to watch this. Ugh. This is Ron DeSantis's something or other, but main character syndrome. I think that's a real problem in the United States right now.
This is Ron DeSantis? Oh no, I see. His rapid response. What's a rapid response director?
I guess you have to tweet out your opinions on dumb shit.
Wait, because hold on a second. I bought some wasp and hornet killer, and it actually was called rapid response.
Oh, so
maybe a different rapid response or the same.
Seems to be a different rapid response.
This isn't the lady that makes it because it didn't work, Christina.
Right.
But I will say that we start using main character syndrome as an insult to people now because I like that.
You know, there's actually regarding that comment, there's actually a group of people that believe that everyone's in a simulation and that they're just like the main character and everyone else is just like a side character in the story. A lot of people believe that. It's weird.
I've heard simulation theory, but let me poke some holes in it. Why would somebody program me standing in line or almost shitting my pants or being hungover? It seems like if you're going to make a computer program, wouldn't it all be fun? Like, you know what I mean?
Maybe they're taking a break when we're doing those things.
When I'm sitting in traffic, the programmer is sleeping.
He's napping.
Yeah, this is one thing I had an issue with, like seeing these metaverse builds, right? These people saying, I'm going to build a world in metaverse, but it still had streets and sidewalks and cars driving around. I'm like, wait a minute. If you're going to make a new world, man, can't we just like appear places and everything is always awesome? Just like you said, waiting in lines. There's no lines in the metaverse. But if you go to the metaverse and you wait in line, it's kind of
the
like,
same stuff.
No one's ever agreed with me. I'm so happy. I want to be like He-Man fighting aliens. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to be in fucking space with swords and shit. Like, why? Okay, say we're in a simulation, Robin. Why would they program this show that nobody watches? Like, why would this be something that they told the computer to do?
You know what you're getting across to me, Eric, is that you might actually like VR.
No, because I want it real.
No, I don't think that he does like VR. That's not what I'm getting. That's not what I'm getting. No, sir.
I don't play video games. I want to really fight aliens. You know what I'm saying? Not fight. I want to make love to them. I'm a lover.
All right, check this out. I'll let you in on a dark mental fantasy I got going. So in a hypothetical world, when anything's possible with the internet and everything, I'd like to have a VR experience, right? That we're going to program you a unique one, because everyone else already has theirs, right? I want to fly. Oh, I want to, whatever, be a race car driver. And all these fantasies are already programmed. And you can just jump in and say, okay, I'm going to go to the flying place and fly around, be a bird, whatever, go underwater and hold your breath forever and swim with whales. But there's going to be this segment of people out there where they don't have their fantasy built yet, and they need, someone to custom build one. Yeah. So I want to be the funnel. I just want to hear it. I don't even want to see it. I just want to be like, okay, come on, tell me yours. Yeah. That's boring.
So you would be like you would be a
funnel builder, or he would be a lifestyle builder, right?
I think he would be a fantasy Sherpa, like guiding them through a fantastical journey of life. I like that.
Yeah, but then you just get to hear all of the outlier cases, right? Like, the outlier stuff.
It'd be like a priest with confession, except cooler and less molesty, I would assume.
Right.
I'm gonna get another piece of hate mail. I can't make fun of Catholics. So I learned that the hard way.
I don't think that viewer's watching.
No, I think he's tuned out. The other Catholics. All right, let's hit this last story.
Tuned in and turned out.
They're very sensitive people. They're religious.
We lost our one viewer. Darn.
My mother still tunes in. I don't know about the rest of your mothers. All right, what's this last story before we get to B-Rad?
Okay, it's good that we don't have conservatives watching right now, because this one pretty unconservative. Berlin seems to be one of the most progressive cities in the world. Apparently, they made the free the nipple thing a thing just last week, so everyone can swim topless in public pool areas. Is following because one woman complained that she was denied entry after someone was saying that her chest was too exposed. But I'm pretty sure most people against free the nipple are like conservative women and men of certain religious groups. I don't think
so. You're saying only a certain demographic hates boobs on this planet, and they tend to skew Republican. Okay, interesting take. Brad, Rodney, how do you feel about open boobies?
I think it's fine, but here's what I would say. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think that the Republicans are upset about free the breast, because most of the Republicans in charge have breast. For example,
yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene
is at least working on. I mean, he's pretty big.
Chris Christie has a solid C cup. He's a big man.
Yeah,
Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. Yeah.
Well, I was also thinking about. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's also cultural. I lived in the Pacific, in a small island community for years, over 6 years, and the culture there, the local culture, is a topless culture, right? And what the women would protect or keep, private would be their thighs from their knees to their hips, right? That's always covered, but it's a topless culture, right? So the first time you see it, the first days you're there, you're like, oh my gosh, there's every shape and size of person over there doesn't have, and the men wear loincloth, right? So everyone's kind of like walking around natural, and eventually that becomes normal. And only I think in our culture we have this debate over what's natural, what should be cool, what's but these people debating it also have never experienced like some traditions where that breasts are life, breasts are for nurture and children and family, and that's just where we come from, and it's a completely normal thing, and there's just no bones, right? There's no bones. For some reason, we talk about it in our advanced American or modern society, and now there's this conflict, and you're like, well, wait a minute, that's all what about the rest of the world out there that has their belief systems and what's cool?
I totally agree.
Yeah, the argument, it doesn't resonate with me, because that just tells me that, people haven't experienced the other side of that,
I'm glad you said that it becomes natural, because this is my thing. I'm pro female nudity. Don't get me wrong. Very straight. Very heterosexual. Here's the thing, though. I would be sad if the magic of boobs left us. You know what I mean? If everyone has them out all the time, and I go, if that becomes normal, and then it doesn't excite me anymore, it's like if you had Christmas every day, all of a sudden it loses its magic. This is why, like, public boobs are not my boobs. They're like public transportation. That doesn't excite me. This is why I don't like strip clubs. They're for everybody. So even if a hot chick is topless, it's for the world. It's communal. I don't want that. I want the magic of the intimacy of nude breasts. Robin,
I think I've just made a discovery. Boobs are hypersexualized because they're covered up all the time. Now I understand why people have foot fetishes, because they're always covered up.
Oh my God, Brad! I don't know if you know this, but Robin was tricked into saying
Robin was a foot fetish model.
Yeah, he was a foot fetish model.
Unwillingly, apparently, according to him, which I don't necessarily know that I believe. I feel like it might have been willingly. I think it might have been wanningly.
Yeah. I just think the magic of female nudity should be preserved to some degree. If you want to go topless, I am not going to tell you. I'm a feminist. I love women. My mother's a woman. Do whatever you got to do. I'm saying personally, I like that there's a little magic and mystery, you know?
Fair enough.
Fair point.
Okay. Well, listen, we killed half an hour, so you know what time it is. It's the Brad portion of the show.
Okay.
All right.
I have
Fire away.
I have a lot of questions. Okay. So I like the juxtaposition of you living in Nicaragua, away like almost off the grid, tarantulas and shit, but you're into Web3, right? I mean, that seems like very deep and very far away at the same time. It's an interesting balance.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So do you want to give us a little journey? You said you were a photographer. Can you give us your superhero origin story?
Yeah. So check this out. I'll just timeline the whole thing. So in the 1990s, I got into the first web, right? And this is the 90s, building the first web pages. So that set me off on my journey. I chose to go with startups instead of, big established businesses. And I've been rocking that every evolution of the technology and the implications it has on how we do business and communicate with each other. So it started out, everyone needed a website. The whole world needed a website. There's years of building, right? The websites got more advanced. They do more stuff. Everyone needed to be on Google. That was another one. Now you got to be found on social media and show your personality and build your brand and do all this stuff. And there's this massive amounts of stuff. And so the next evolution of technology is going to be this emerging development of AI, blockchain, and what that means, right? So right now, our entire financial system is undergoing transformation of the underlying tech. Soon, we're going to be able to buy $1 million homes with a tap on your phone. Yep, I own that. Everything is going to change. So this stuff is really cool because, in this scope, you get, as a marketer and communications pro, you have to work with people on the tech side that are building an idea and say, this idea is going to be done in next year. And you start talking about this and working with creators. And so this space is super exciting. It's very challenging. And it has a lot of nuances, and you have to understand the culture of the new web, right? A lot of people are into their privacy and being an avatar when you're talking to them in Telegram or whatever. And not everyone's, going to click on your links in chat. We have a certain protocol to keep our stuff safe. So it's a cultural paradigm. And it's going to be what I believe is going to be the way that our lives are going to be run in the future. The systems are going to be a lot more advanced. And, what we consider things now that's normal, maybe you can still write a check. You can still go out and have to sign a bunch of papers and stuff to buy a house or whatever it is. But in the future, all of this is going to be as fast as sending a text message. And that's the kind of stuff we're just looking forward at and seeing where we're going to fit in and how we're going to evolve, right? As a marketer, I've grown 2 agencies in Web 2 and, done both on the engagement side as far as delivering systems, as well as on the promotion side and digital marketing. But the thing is like, some of this AI that's coming out is already changing our shop, right? What's the structure of the new marketing agency? Is it going to be, you've got a video editor and a graphic designer and you have, whatever, or nowadays I pop into any one of these applications and just type in there what I want to happen, right? I go to Photoshop and change the background to a sunburst and there I am. I don't need to know all the skills or go on YouTube and do tutorials and figure out how to brush everything to make it look like that, right? So there's a lot of stuff that's coming out, super exciting things. It's going to change and shake up. And I just prefer to be on the forward edge of it, right? So I spent the whole first part of this year, I went to classes, I booked one-on-ones, masterclass, tutorials, whatever, went to MIT extension courses and stuff on AI and invested in learning like, okay, what's going on out there and what does this mean? And, basically in the end is that if you get your hands dirty now and you're learning, you're part of that very first adoption wave, right? The people that are using this tech now. And, I think that could only be an advantage in the future when this is integrated fully into our lives, that you know what's happening, you know how to interact with this, and you're able to be a much, stronger, faster Jedi out there doing your stuff.
And you think this is inevitable, the rise of Web3? Like, that's just life. It seems some of us seem slow to adopt, right? Like some of the technology just isn't in our modern day life. It's
yeah. I'll tell you, I remember the very first internet, right? And we thought that was going to be, the little guy is going to have privacy. I can send you messages no one can see. It's going to be, strong for us, and F the big guy, right? Yeah. And with blockchain and Bitcoin and this Bitcoin white paper, decentralization, those ethos, it's the same narrative. Oh, this is the people's money. We're push back against the whatever, right? Yeah. Well, nothing ever took over the world, right? Everything got integrated into the world, right? So now everything that our web and all our comms, it's integrated, right? So everything is being, monitored to make sure everyone's playing straight, no one's breaking laws and doing crazy stuff out there, keep us safe, whatever. But the same thing is going to happen with this technology as well, right? Your money is going to probably wind up being, fully transparent in what you spend and how it goes, and make sure that, you're doing something according to the rules or whatnot. So I don't think there's going to be some massive upheaval, flip the world, and now we all have our own money and it's going to be, whatever technology revolution for the people. I think it's just going to integrate into our lives. Some of the narratives that are, super decentralized and stuff like that, it reminds me of the 1990s where we all thought the internet was going to be something for us. And it turned out that, how's your privacy now, right? If you say too much on this phone, the next thing you have is an advertisement. You know what I mean? Like,
Mark's listening.
Listening.
Mark Zuckerberg's listening. He's watching us.
So yeah, maybe it's not preferred. And why do I need way more targeted ads in my life? I got enough advertisement already. It's not really what I want in the innovation to do to my life. Right. But it is what's going to happen. It is just the natural course of things. And if we want to play with money and all this stuff, then that's the rules, right? You got to go along with it.
Yeah.
So you have this, 5 Goats. This is your company.
That is.
Is the goats in reference to the term greatest of all time or actual goats?
That is part of our brand. But when we were talking about the company name, we were forming the agency and getting going, stuff like that. Like I said before, my pet goats, or my little sheep herd, they're around here somewhere. They photobomb so many Zoom calls, and everyone that has worked with me knows I have sheep in my house. They come around and walking around, and especially my team. We've worked together for years, and I send them photos of the sheep since they were babies. Here's what they're doing now, whatever, funny stuff. So when we said goats, it just all clicked. So there we go. But yeah, greatest of all time. That's the goal. You know what I mean? We try and, aim to be, 1% better every time we do something. That's just our ethos. And we do know that we play in a highly competitive space, and, things change rapidly. So you have to be, on the ball and self-driven. And this is the kind of culture that we created.
And where does everybody live? So you're not having meetings in your goat shed, right? Everybody must be.
We just did. We did. Yeah, I had my friends down here. They rented a villa up here on the hill behind us, and all my partners flew in, and we had IRL and bonfires on the beach and stuff like that. So yeah, we're a real team. We know each other. But so I have 2 people in Canada, Calgary and Toronto, and another American. He's in Oklahoma right now.
Wow.
Not that it matters what I think, but I just want to say something, right? Eric, can you throw that back up?
Absolutely.
I'm by no means an expert, but this is probably the cleanest intro, landing page, whatever this is here, right?
Top half of the website.
It's amazing. Like, I like how, not that it matters what I think, but you have only 4 things up there I love, and then you explain exactly what it is. Like, I think this should be an example on how people should do a landing page or a website or whatever this here is.
Yeah, I agree with you in totality. The only thing is, I'm so dumb I don't understand. Like Web3.
I don't know what he's talking about, but I feel like I know what he's talking about. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a beautiful site. Whoever did it,
it's really good. I love it. I compliments.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
real
Cheers. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and a lot of people confuse like what Web3 is, and they say Web3 technologies and blockchain is Web3 or whatever. And Web3 is really a cultural paradigm. That's it. You know what I mean?
And can you dumb that down? Can you give a Web3?
Yeah, so Web3 became its own term, and derived from that is that this elite culture that is the first techno crypto culture, cyberpunks, whatever you want to call it, that beginning of this is sort of like this elitist kind of thing. Like, okay, we're special. We're in crypto since the very beginning days. We understand this technology and whatever. And this is the future of the web, right? It's going to be decentralized and open and transparent and all these great things. So this sort of like culture and the way that people, come together on this, they started the term Web 2, right? I come from web in the 90s. I've been doing this for 23 years. We didn't say Web 1. Right. We didn't say Web 2, but here we are saying Web 3. So really, it's just about the culture. And this is where, probably it's the most important part of working in the space is you got to understand like the mindset and the values behind all this and like how to connect with people. There's a lot of trust to overcome. A lot of people, only want to do business with someone that they are connected to. So your network is super important. And if you were to come to me cold, blind, I'm automatically like, oh, this is a scam. I'm automatically, looking to see where's the scam, where's the trick, what are you trying to hack me? This is engineering. And you really have to be able to, come out and be authentic and get your message out, talk to people. It's just a little bit different working culture. Yeah. So I know like some people in previous, I guess in a different web state, they might just email me a PowerPoint and say, hey, check out my doc. And I'm like, dude, we don't click on links, bro. Like there's just no way, you know what I mean? Like there's money gone, right? So no. You have to do this a different way. You can't just come at me like that. So this is, one of the aspects of it is just it's a cultural thing. And I don't know if there's going to be a Web 4 or whatever we're going to call the next generation of this, but just the culture and, sort of how we're coming at this tech for today. But it is just sort of like a future niche, and it will evolve and change as it goes too.
And you're starting a podcast, right? And Web3 related.
Yeah, so we worked in decentralized finance, right? These digital casinos online. It's just this incredible gambler, situation, right? Just like 100 guys at the roulette table with all their, disposable money. And so there's that aspect. There's all these cryptos, you've heard of them, right? They pop up, they're worth a bunch of money. Now they're worth, 100% less. So you've seen all of this like activity happening, and this is what people are kind of like getting into the scope of this new technology. But what we believe the real future of this technology is when these tokens, right, this digital assets and digital representation of things is going to be backed by something real, right? This is what we really believe, that the token, Pepe or whatever is worth something. But if you ask like, okay, what happens, what's it backed by, right? And you really can't answer that. But if I do have a token that says this is backed by, a massive piece of real estate project in New York, a lot of people can really understand that that's the most stable asset class in the world, American real estate or whatever. And if you have a real estate crash, your portfolio dips 30%, 20%. But if you have a crypto crash, it dips 99.8% or whatever, right? So it's just a more stable way of saying that you have a digital asset. And so the podcast is about, real world assets. There's this narrative that's blowing up right now about tokenizing all this stuff, tokenizing real estate. And once you have something that's, in a digital form, well, you can split it up, right? So let's say I can't go out and buy $1 million rental property in Florida right now and reap the benefits, but me and 500 other investors can at all different levels. One person's in for $100, one person's in for 10 grand. Right. So it just opens the door for ownership in just a different sense, right? Now, all of this is super early. Nobody can complete the whole ecosystem just due to financial regulations right now. So I can't tokenize a property in America and sell it to a bunch of people in every country out there, including Americans, right? So people have to create, licensed exchanges. There's going to have to be banking rules and stuff behind all the stuff. But it is something that we believe is going to be the future of what this technology will unlock. So we started a podcast, and we're basically just breaking it down with people, just get the CEO up on the screen and just ask them bluntly, like, hey, what's up? What are the challenges out here? What can we expect? What do we anticipate that you're bringing us? to market and you know what's really happening. Right now, we're doing a study of over 300 companies that we can find that are claiming to be doing this, right? Hundreds of companies claiming to be doing this. And so far, we can only dig up like 25 that have actually done it, you know, have something that they've completed their process and digitized an asset and can produce ownership in this way. And still, it's not transferable or distributable. But at least that there are some people that are pushing the envelope forward, right? They are the ones making the progress. So we try and connect with them, bring them on the show and talk about, you know, what they're doing, what challenges them, what do we look out for, and just learn together is the biggest thing.
So it sounds like you're going to have a podcast where you ask smart questions, but on this podcast, we ask stupid questions.
I know when you guys, I saw your podcast, I'm like, you guys do all this just for fun, like no other reason.
Yeah, we're not trying to sell anything.
I have a stupid question.
Well, eventually we're going to try to figure out how to monetize that.
We're trying to sell Robin, but that hasn't worked.
Well, we're selling Robin's feet pics.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I have a question, Brad. This is probably a stupid question, but how many years do you think we're away from having like a cyberpunk era? Or if you even believe that we're going to have one.
Cyberpunk era.
What? Okay, define that. What do you mean?
What does that even mean, Robin?
Like everything's decentralized. Everything's like through cryptocurrencies. Governments are not so much in control anymore.
Never.
No. Robin, you're living in a fantasy world. What's happening over there?
Yeah, no, it's all going to have to get integrated into the rules. I mean, things are going to change, but decentralized and no government involvement, absolutely not, right? Absolutely not. So I think that what we'll find is that, you know, the companies that are innovating and really staying on top of, you know, the regulations and compliance that they can right now as things change, those are going to be the ones that are able to, you know, get down their runway or their roadmap faster, right? If you're sitting there telling the world you're going to tokenize and securitize assets in the real world and you don't have a lawyer on staff or a compliance program, it's going to be a little sketch, right? You don't know.
Yeah.
Look how disappointed Robin is that there's going to be no cyberpunk era. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
So ready.
Man. I don't think so. I mean,
I don't know.
There's a lot of people that wish there would be. I'm sure that wish there would be. But I don't see realistically that's just going to flip, you know, and become.
One of them's on the show.
I was going to say, it's not like a challenge, Robin. You start the revolution, baby.
What is he on this?
We don't have a lot of time left, but I did want to, like, part of what I like to do is humanize corporate America, and I think you can do that with stupid questions. So this is, I got to tell you, one of the Otter.
This is
Otter.
Refreshing.
Yeah. They trapped on a desert island. You get to bring the complete catalogs of 5 bands / musical artists who are they and why. So you're going with shaman chants from 5 different native tribes. This begs the question: how many Dunkin' Donuts spiked coffees do I have to have before I start getting really into the flow? No, nothing. I just get in there. And I feel it. I feel the.
Now, are these the remixes or are these the originals?
Yeah.
The OG, dude. OG.
The OG. Okay.
And would you say they do well with psilocybin, or like what's happening here? Because
if you're on a deserted island, you probably don't have any of those things, and that's the cool thing about like. So I guess I was sitting in my bed last night, like, and you sent me the email saying, "Hey man, come on." I bumped the message. I want your answers, and I thought about it. What if I'm on a desert island and I have the entire, you know, Metallica's box set or Counting Crows or something? I thought about that. I was like, oh my God, I would go nuts, right? Even if I like Metallica a lot, after however long. What does that get me? That I memorized every beat, every last, you know, word in the songs? Or, you know, if you got the shaman chants, you're going to change your frequency and change your vibe, tap into something and maybe be able to ascend to the next dimension and get off that island, bro.
I like that.
That's right.
All right. So you go into space in your head. I like that about you. All right. I thought that was more of a druggy answer, but that makes sense. All right.
I like it.
The band that you hate is the Beatles? Like, listen,
you gotta have to give an explanation for this.
I'm so sorry about that, man. I swear. I don't even know I hated the Beatles. I didn't even know. But I was with someone that knew me very well. Yeah. And, you know, the Beatles are everywhere, right? You walk into a shopping mall, it's on, a restaurant, they play it, any road trip, you know, movie, there's a Beatles song. Everywhere. And they made so much music. And I would get this, like, grumpy vibe. And she would notice, and she's like, you know what it is? It's every time the Beatles come on, dude, you get grumpy. You're like, what is it about this place? Da, 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 da. And then the song changes, and now, okay, I'm kicked back again. I was unaware of this. Somebody brought this to my attention, and now I'll feel like a little vibe change in me, and I'm like, is this the Beatles playing? Someone goes, yeah.
Are the Beatles on?
100%. I don't know why I got 100% hit rate on the Beatles, and I don't even, you know,
maybe
I didn't
like
try and have it.
You think Ringo
maybe
kicked
the
your ass
past
when you were a kid or
life,
something?
they
Like,
beat me up.
weird.
Yeah, exactly. You know, didn't let me into their show. I couldn't be part of their club, and you know, it's just this ongoing thing. But yeah, I don't know why. I'm
not a huge Beatles. I think they're objectively a great band. Like, I think it's hard to say they suck. I'm not a huge fan, but I've never met anyone that hates the Beatles before. So that is a hot take.
Yeah, that is a hot take.
Speaking of hot takes, look at your so you're on death row. What's your last meal? I was giving you 2 appetizers, 2 mains, 2 sides, and a dessert, but you went with 2 breakfast tacos and a bottle of Coke. My God, you were an interesting fella, Brad.
Dude, you gotta Google up what Big Burro in Ensenada is, and I'll tell you my story. Right, I moved to Mexico, and I was living in Ejido. Right, it's a Mexican town. A little bit outside the city, dirt roads still, and everyone knows their neighbors and whatever. Right now in Mexico, you know, there's so much like street food, and it's so good that in order for me to make a taco, it takes me like an hour, right? You know what I mean, from start to finish. And you can walk over and get like the best taco on earth, you know, 2 minutes away for $1. So I basically stopped cooking when I went there. I was single at the time too. And so I made friends with a family that had a very, very tiny taco stand, right? And their menu was basically just a couple of different tacos. And they had, you know, chicken, steak, shrimp, fish, or whatever, all the stuff, 2 different tortillas. And I was like, man, you guys have like the whole thing going here, man. Couple eggs on that. You make breakfast, a couple of tortillas, whatever. So I broke them off like a menu, made this huge design. So this is how, you know, much stuff you can make, and started chilling this taco stand. Now they're fully raging, right? They built their little business up from being a startup 3-wall stand to having a full-blown restaurant in the same location. But I befriended the family, and I went there every day for 1 meal at least. It was breakfast and coffee, or just to say hi, or maybe some lunch. And it got to the point where, like, if they didn't see me for a day or 2, they'd come by my house and knock on my door and be like, yo, are you alive, bro? So yeah, I know a whole family, their grandparents, their granddaughters, everybody in the whole place. It's amazing.
Well, listen, if this Web3 thing doesn't take off, we did do a story about a Japanese guy that went to Mexico, fell in love with street tacos, brought them over to Japan, and now he's killing it. So if you could convince this family, just spread it out. You know, I don't know what's going on in Austria, but I bet they would love some tacos. So
everyone loves tacos, bro.
They need some tacos. They need some street justice.
Oh, Berlin, everyone's topless eating tacos. It sounds perfect to me.
Yeah.
And then real quick, because we don't have a lot of time, but National Lampoon's Vacation, the original Aliens, Terminator, and Matrix goes along with my theory that I think the 80s and 90s, I'll throw the 80s in, the golden age of Hollywood. Just every great movie during this period.
Yes.
Goes for. Like, I don't think you can argue with any of these.
No, they're all solids.
No,
every one of these movies is solid.
Before you know, Hollywood got too far with things, right? You know, you're watching a movie, and now you're kind of like, you know, you don't know what you're watching. Most of it's, you know, you don't even know why they're making stuff. Fast and the Furious 12 or 13 or 14 or, you know what I mean? How many times can you listen to a gear shift? You know?
Did you know what? Well, hold on a second. Did you know that Vin Diesel's real name is Vehicle Identification Number?
I knew you were going to do it. Every time.
I can't stop myself.
I know. It's his favorite bit. Do you find Terminator is better than Terminator 2? Because I really like Terminator 2. Although Terminator 1's great too.
Yeah, probably a little bit better. But, you know, just basically back then, you kind of knew that, you know, when you're watching movies, you knew that was Hollywood. And now you can put something on the screen and people are going to start looking at that like, hey, you know what? That might be true. Start the bandwagon, man.
That's true.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger is a national treasure. I know he's not American, but I still think he's a national treasure. He's given us so much.
You don't have to be American to be a national treasure, by the way.
Well,
we make the rules around here.
He's thrown a lot of Canadians in there too recently.
That's true.
And so you hate every movie that's not these 4, which I respect. You have a lot of hot.
Yeah, if you were to ask me about movies, bro, I'm so boring, dude. I'm so boring. I watched the movies growing up as a kid, but thankfully, knock on hardwood again. I just never got hooked on TV or movies my whole life. And that's because when I was a kid, like you had one TV, it was this big. Right. It had like, you know, 5 or 6 options to click on to see something, and it sucked. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, let's face it, like you're watching Knight Rider. It's not that
you know what the issue too,
though? Like whatever. It just never really.
Yeah, we need excitement because everything's so boring. You're living amongst goats and tarantulas. You don't need Hollywood entertainment.
No, he doesn't need any entertainment. He's in a fight for his life every day.
Exactly. You don't need fake fights. You're dealing with scorpions in your toilet. All right, so listen, we got to go. It's going to LinkedIn does a hard cutoff at the hour mark. But Brad, you've been an unbelievable guest.
Cool.
Coming on. Do you want to plug anything in the last 30 seconds?
No, I just want to say thanks, guys, man. I saw this invitation. I saw what you guys are doing, just having a good time. I thought, you know what? I have to do this. You're awesome. And thanks for starting my day.
Yeah, no problem. I have aspirin months mangoes now too, because your house looks unbelievable. Can you pan the camera real quick?
We'd love to see.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Look at
the
oh my god.
Hang on, let me change the aperture here.
Look at
that. Yeah.
Not bad. And he's got a hammock. Look at this thing.
Wowzers.
For 50 grand.
Hammock there.
Wowzers. Oh man, a cow. Oh man.
To hang out.
My cable bill is 50 grand. This is unbelievable. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, America. Brad, you can stick around for a second, but bye.
You got it. Cheers, everybody.